So a little game, a demo for so a game for a little demo. No. So a demo for a little game by the name of Final Fantasy XVI came out the other day, and one of us was lucky enough to actually own a PS5 in order to play this. Have any of you folks at home had the chance to check out Final Fantasy XVI yet? This may have some small story spoilers. This is just the start of the game mostly, and a few combat sections as played by our wonderful Tom here, who was lucky enough to play it, and I did get to see like a lot of the story stuff, so that's where I'll be able to comment as someone who's played back in the series in the past. But Tom, you're the one who got to really play this, so as someone who hasn't played Final Fantasy their entire life, what were your impressions?
I was blown away by it. I mean, I was excited about the game going in, but this just kicked it up to a whole different level. I know story is a big part of Final Fantasy, but I was really blown away by how in-depth the story was, how many hooks it had, and I was legitimately disappointed when the demo ended because I want to know what happens next. I want to, pick up where that goes. And then the combat itself was just, it felt very fluid. It felt very natural. You'll see in some of these clips, I suck at dodging. And the button mapping was so bizarre to me. Like the dodge button was on the R1, the right bumper button. And it took me a long time to get used to that. And there was a different layout you could do for that and put the dodge on circle. But then I can't remember what it was, but like the attack button was then in a weird place. It was just, that was weird. And I did see where they listened to the feedback and they've talked about having different options for that in the full game. So that was cool. But yeah, there was at least an hour's worth of cutscenes, and there's an hour or two worth of just playing the game. So it was a lot of fun and really smooth. I didn't have any issues with it. It was amazing.
I hope you like cutscenes, because Final Fantasy is very story heavy, and you have to want to enjoy that much story if you want to enjoy this. From what I heard, they have something like 12 hours of cutscenes in the whole game. So
I believe it. I mean, just the opening half hour or so, you're actually controlling the character for about 2 minutes,
It does balance out after the initial introduction, and you do get to do some cool combat. Here he's getting to fight some goblins, and that goes as far back as Final Fantasy 1. The little goblins on the field outside the castle. Right. That's just straight up Final Fantasy 1 right there. Same designs as Yoshitaka Amano used to use on his sketches for the characters. Finally bringing him back to bringing him to life in the original detail that he originally intended, instead of the small little pixel characters that we had back in the original games.
Yeah.
And you said that half of it was pretty much the story. Mm-hmm. So, more importantly, what were your thoughts of the story?
I felt like the thing that I got right off the bat was sort of a Game of Thrones vibe to it, and I found out later that was on purpose. They were studying Game of Thrones kind of style storytelling. I think they made all the developers watch the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, and that really comes through because the good ones. There's a lot of political intrigue and castles and just that kind of storytelling, but through a Final Fantasy lens, because you have the magic and you have the icons and you have all this other stuff going on. But they did a really good job of kind of having that flavor to it.
Do you, Johan, I know you're an avid Final Fantasy guy, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know you don't have a PS5, but are you looking forward to this? Do you want to... I'm going to throw this out here right now. I don't think it's going to be long before we get the PC version. Maybe a year at most. If we're lucky, it might only be 6 months. But assuming it comes out on PC, do you plan on grabbing this? And
I mean, it will be great, but I'm pretty sure it will take a lot to run this game on PC as well, and I am in severe need of upgrading my PC as well. So so I don't know if I would get this on the PC. Maybe if I were to get a PS5 someday, I might consider it as well. It looks great. So I am very intrigued by it. I've been seeing the trailers as well. During oh gosh, when did the trailer drop that I last saw it?
You got
It
wrecked by
wasn't.
that.
It,
You got wrecked
Yeah,
by
see,
that boss,
that's
by
where
the
I'm
way.
like,
it was
who puts the dodge button on R1?
it was during the PlayStation showcase, I think. The one that was like about a month or so ago.
Yeah, they showed a lot. Here's the thing, even the footage they showed, it actually isn't. They said that like 80% of the footage they showed was from like the first like couple of hours of the game. Like it's all early footage. Apparently it's not anywhere near as spoilery as you would think. I'm not gonna lie, Tom, your dodging skills are definitely wounding me a little. I'm feeling
I know.
like, as an avid Devil May Cry person, I was just like, oof, just dodge behind him. just go behind him, and then he can't whack you with his giant stick. But I'm curious. Like, I would actually like to discuss a little bit of like what actually happens in the story, because this, even just from watching it, makes me want to play the game. So give us a quick rundown of the story, folks. If you don't want the story spoiled, I would say mute the stream for the next 2 minutes.
Well, there are two different timelines. So it kind of starts out with the main character, and he is kind of observing a battle from a distance that's going on between a couple of nations, and you get to see a couple of icons fight each other, and the icons are the giant whatever avatars that they're godlike, and they're throwing mountains at each other and that sort of thing. And then it flashes back to him when he's younger, and he's a prince, and he's part of a royal family, and apparently he was the firstborn, and they thought he was going to be the icon, but he wasn't chosen, or however that works, and his little brother was. And so he's being trained to protect his little brother and be his guardian. And so that's your opening kind of tutorial on combat, is a captain of the guard or whoever training you on combat, because that's going to be your role. And you go through a lot of the story of what's happening in the world and why this icon is important, and where you sort of fit in that place. As it progresses, as it gets to the end of that prologue, there are a lot of events that happen, and I won't mention some of the spoilers that are in it because I think it's so good, the stuff that happens in the story. I will say it sets up expectations where you're like, okay, I know where this is going to go, or I know this is going to happen, and it just takes a complete left turn, and it really is it's fascinating the way they set up the story and then just twist it right in there.
They twist it like a knife straight through your heart. If you've ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, the style of the story is definitely going to resonate with you. It uses its age rating. It's not for shock value. It's not for like, oh my god, everything's gore and blood, but it does hit you with like a twist right at the start that just makes you, and since you don't want to go into specifics, I won't either, but it makes you want to find out what the hell's going to happen next. And it's a significant jump in maturity over the kind of like half-assed melodrama of 13 and 15. It's closer to 12 in its delivery as well. It's more like mature kind of more mature delivery, more humanistic dialogue, but It's so good, and loving the style. That's your father. Loving the way he dresses. The
I
black.
think it does another like really impressive thing. I think in such a short demo is it gives you a character. Like I hate this character. Like this villain is someone I hate.
Yeah.
Like I haven't hated since Joffrey of Game of Thrones. Like that's a
Whoa,
really
geez.
difficult thing to do. Yeah, it's like, oh man, I want to see this person suffer.
It wears its Game of Thrones influence on its sleeve, but it's also very clearly inspired by tactics. It's not just I'm going to be Game of Thrones. It has a lot of the political intrigue and complex political machinations are going on in the story. But I have a feeling it's not going to be just all about the politics. I have a feeling like it's going to understand
Right.
like the politics help the events, but it's the characters are what really matter, and they've set up a really strong set of characters to start off the story. So less than a week. Are you buying it?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did the demo convince you?
I was gonna buy it
Okay.
regardless. I don't know if I was gonna buy it day one, but I'm definitely day one now.
Cool. Oh wow. Okay. Well, I guess 2 weeks from now we'll be doing a review of Final Fantasy 16 on SideQuests.
Yeah, that gives me a week to beat the whole game. I don't know about that.
Okay. Review in progress then.
Right? Yeah.
Let's be honest, nobody really wants to listen to a creator shill themselves for 90 seconds. So if you enjoyed this, you can watch the show over on Twitch every Sunday at TNEQL. And if you enjoyed this, please consider supporting us on Patreon at the same TNEQL. Take care of yourselves and stay beautiful.